watched part of that last night. You know what movie that is?
No. What movie?
This isn't the intro, by the way. We're not starting with me going, "Arrgh!" Along Came Polly.
Ah, yeah. I've seen it.
We are not starting with me going, "Arrgh!" We
One of
can't.
those Ben Stiller. Or was that Jennifer Aniston is in that?
Yeah, yes.
She's in a lot of those. I have a weird, ugly friend who I'm going to end up banging at some point in life movies, right?
Are you calling Ben Stiller ugly?
He's not the best looking guy in the world.
It's not a bad looking dude, though, right?
He was in one with, yeah, he's a weird looking cat.
I'm not saying he's not weird looking, but he's not a bad looking dude. Like,
I wouldn't swipe right for him on Tinder. I don't know.
on Grindr, you mean?
Yeah.
On Grindr. But that's a classic, man, where like he's trying to impress her, and like, so he's in the Bahamas and he just gets married, and then his now wife is, he walks in and he's like, just flippers everywhere. But the best part of that movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman, where he sits there and, you know, he's all about himself, and you know, so he's all like, man, I quit the play, and he's like, well, the director doesn't know what he's talking about. It's like, why not? He goes, he just won't listen to me, and I want to play all these parts. He's like, isn't that the point of community theater? Is everybody gets a part?
Right?
And more importantly, that's the movie where Sharded came into the lexicon.
She was also in another one of those movies with
Sharded.
Jason Bateman.
I didn't see that one.
That one's on Netflix. I forgot the name of it.
Because that one isn't as funny as, I'm sure.
No, that one wasn't as humorous. There were some like funny parts, but it was supposed to be like more serious.
They're playing on the basketball court, and you got that and he takes his shirt off, and the dude's all hairy or whatever, and he's all sweaty, and then comes down on Ben Stiller just in slow mo. He's spitting it out. It's enough to make you throw up.
Gross.
And welcome to the Main Event Podcast.
Exactly. Ooh, I had a question for you regarding movies and kind of TV shows too. You watch this week's Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I have to, by the way, which we could talk about. I'm so infuriated with people, but yes, I did.
So you seem to think my girlfriend Samantha ruins it for you.
Jason, when I log on to Snapchat and I see,
Does she post the good stuff?
yeah, she posts the whole scenes, man. Like, everything matters, dude. She's not the only one, by the way. I've had to unfollow several people. I am so infuriated. Like, I have a cousin that lives in Hawaii who posts stuff, but she posts stuff not specific to it. So, like,
Right.
you know, like, is anybody else upset about what just happened to Game of Thrones? Like, she posts it like that.
Right.
Because you know stuff's going to happen. It's not like, you're not like, oh my God, so-and-so, like, you're expecting a lot. You're expecting
And they're
to watch
trying to
it.
like cram in a lot this season because it's like 6 episodes.
So, but what I will not stand for, at no point in time, is somebody posting actual video of scenes.
Yeah, that's
Because no matter how you haven't watched this, you don't get this. So I did yell at her at the racetrack by the way, about it. But you do not. The most minuscule scene in Game of Thrones actually means something at some point.
true.
And I can tell you, on that first week, that pissed me off was she posted a scene that when I later watched it, I knew what was coming, because she posted what seemed like a completely innocuous, boring scene, but it totally gave me the idea of what was coming down the pipe. And that is unacceptable.
So did you know the Starbucks cup happened before you watched it or after you watched it?
I actually knew after, because I have started to, because of this problem I have where, like I said, she's not the only one.
You have to mute words on Twitter and everything.
No, people are posting video snapshots of it. And what's it come on, like 3:00 our time or something ridiculous
Something
like that on
yeah.
Sunday? So no, I have to stay completely off of
you gotta
social
wait,
media.
yeah.
Like, I know. So I usually I've always watched Game of Thrones Monday morning. Like, that's my Monday morning get up. Start the week off with killing and plundering and lots of needless violent sex, right? That's the way I look at it. Now I cannot do that because people are posting stuff on Sunday. It's a whole new thing. Like, before I could avoid it because people would post just words and you can avoid the words.
But now
you
it's
can't avoid video.
now, yeah. You're screwed.
Especially on Snapchat. You're just perusing through stories. Boom.
You're like, oh, Game of Thrones. They're like, oh, no.
No, not even that. You don't even know that. It's like some dark scene and like you hear Arya like, you know, oh, hey, Arya killed the Night King. And you're like, what the fuck?
What are your thoughts on how many days? So, all right, so Game of Thrones.
So animated here.
Game of Thrones is a TV show. And Avengers, this kind of like ties in because Avengers came out, last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on like spoilers as opposed to TV shows to movies? I feel like movies, you probably wait a couple weeks before you drop the spoiler in. Be like, oh yeah, I can't believe, Iron Man died. That's Avengers spoiler.
What?
Everybody. Yeah. Okay.
You say spoiler alert,
Shut
dude.
up. but no.
I've never seen any of 22 Marvel movies that tie into this Endgame. I've seen 2, and that's Ant-Man and Wasp. Other than
I
that,
didn't know
haven't
Ant-Man
seen-
was even tied in. I saw the first Iron Man and half the second one. That's all I've seen to this.
Only reason I saw those 2 was because
And I saw the
some girl wanted me to go, so I was like, I'll go with you.
I saw the 1970s Hulk. I don't know if that ties into this or not.
It does not.
Oh, well. But no, so, that's been a few weeks. So if you know, I feel like TV shows, especially now, like you want to watch it before Wednesday, right? And then like tomorrow you could openly talk about it. So it's like, I haven't seen it yet. Be like, well, dude, that's on you.
So
you have it on HBO Go, like watch it.
But see, it depends on your life, right? So like back in when I would like had to get up Monday morning and go to work, I made sure I watched like the must see thing that
because they're going to talk about the water
because somebody's going to bring it up. You're going to walk in and somebody's going to be like, reference it or whatever, and you're going to be like, dude. But now that I get up on Monday mornings and that's my office day, and I don't necessarily see people. Right. On Monday morning, I feel like I don't have to watch it or anything. Now it's just stay off of social media type thing. But I'm more of a guy where if I'm going to talk about it with somebody, like even today, like today's Wednesday, if I was going to talk about Sunday's episode with somebody, I would ask if they saw it first.
Right. But if you're like in a big group, so say you're out say there's like 5 of us at a table like, oh man, Game of Thrones this week was so crazy. See that?
But if I hadn't seen it,
so and so.
But if I hadn't seen it and that started, like I would literally like get up, like dart across the room. Like that's my responsibility to get out of that conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, even now, just listening to the radio, some jerk on the radio on Monday Monday midday was talking about it, and it's like it was on the Dan Patrick Show, I think, and it was like, dude, good thing I watched that, like because. You're driving, you're not paying attention.
Because I was listening to the radio on Monday afternoon, and they were talking about there's like, we don't give anything away in case people haven't watched it yet. Like, we know it started yesterday, and then they kind of brought up the conversation like, what's a good time frame for spoilers? And we were like, spoiler alert, guys.
But I'm okay. Something like Game of Thrones, if you're going to watch it, I would agree. You need to watch it Sunday night or just avoid the world until you watch it, unless you want spoilers.
Especially if you have social media.
With talking and words. Posting video clips is never accepted. That would be like if somebody had Iron Man's death scene on my Snapchat. I would have been pissed about that. Like, so I know. So here's the thing, right? So
I don't know how he dies. I know he dies.
That's what I mean. So I know Iron Man dies, right? And I know at the end of Infinity War, like half of them get swiped out. But I don't know what. I don't know the.
I don't know who gets swiped out. Yeah, I don't know who dies on that one.
So I feel like maybe someday I'll be bored enough in my life that I'll watch a comic book movie like that, and I'll know what happens, but I won't know what happens, if that makes sense. So it's okay with it. Seeing an actual clip of it ruins all whatever. Even reading about it would be almost acceptable in my eyes, just because you still don't know all the facts and everything that you know what I mean? Like when Arya kills the Night King, spoiler alert, that was 2 weeks ago. If you're not up on it, tough.
Right.
But when she does it, if I would have read that scene and know that she did it, it was just amazing how it happened. Like all the stuff that came.
I felt like she should have added like a little thing, like "Your turn, bitch." Like when she stabbed him or something. I don't know. Like when she grabbed when the knife fell out of her. Because I actually watched the war. I thought it was a pretty cool thing.
Didn't fall. It's a move that she's developed over time.
Oh, really? That's her move, to let a knife fall and then she picks it up?
Oh, it's this thing. I'll have to send it to you because you don't watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't watch. I don't know.
So everything...
And I feel like I don't have enough time to watch it at this point in life.
Everything ties together in Game of Thrones. So there's actually like all these people that have put together all the clues that Arya's the one that kills him. And that move she does in like season 4 or something like that, and she learns that move in season 4. And people are going back and being like, here's a clue, here's a clue. It's just amazing to watch how 8 years of seasons have led to this moment. That's what I find fascinating about it.
She should have been like, you're the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yeah, no.
Just added in some
ice, right?
stuff.
Like, you're thought out or... Good night. Good night.
Good night. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Ba-da-ba-ding.
So there was a Starbucks cup. Well, not a Starbucks cup. It was a local brewery since they filmed in like Ireland or whatever. But Starbucks got like $300,000 worth of free pub, they were saying, before they digitally took it out.
Yeah, they took it out.
Now you won't be seeing it anymore.
So
Samantha had to get back home and watch that scene.
This is how people do their... This is how people like spend their lives, right? Like you watch that scene. Even when I saw the still picture, like it was hard to pick out because it had the sleeve on it.
Yeah, and the scene went pretty quick too.
No, they were on it. They were on it for a while, but it had the plastic thing on it. It's a dark scene,
right?
It wasn't even the focal point.
But everybody else is drinking out of their tusk and their horns.
Everybody was off.
She's over here sipping on a latte.
Everything
110 degrees, chill.
Yeah, everything was off to the left of the scene, you know. So, you know, somebody like went back and was like studying that scene,
right.
Which, by the way, I don't understand it, but people do that because they want to get every nuance. Like I actually follow this page. Well, I don't follow it. I check in with it from time where they will study people's looks in Game of Thrones.
Really?
Right? And they'll dissect what the looks could mean coming up. And you're just like, wow. Like the whole thing right now is Stanza's eyes, you know, the Jon Snow's sister, the on the north, the redhead. And people are studying her eyes, and they're like, okay, so this is how her eyes have changed in this season. And this one means this try. Like, it's just the most amazing thing what people is doing that. But in terms of spoilers, I feel like Endgame now, it's my job at this point to avoid any spoilers if I haven't seen it. But hearing a spoiler and not knowing the things around it, like I think like if you were going to Endgame, you were expecting people to die, right? Same thing with Game of Thrones.
Well, I saw Bran, how you say it? Bran. He's favored in Vegas to rule the Westeros at the end of season 8.
Really?
Yes, that's the new favorite. He's back to being favorite. He dropped it, but now he's back.
I don't see that because the Third-Eyed Raven is not a ruler. He's
right now. He's
the past and the
Bran
future.
is favorite. Sansa, I guess that's a sister.
Yeah, that's the redhead.
Okay, she's a second favorite. Jon Snow is third. Who's the midget character?
Lannister.
I don't know his name. Tyrion.
Jesus.
Tyrion Lannister. Yeah. He's right now sitting tied for 5th to rule. I kind of want him to rule. I want to see him on a dragon.
I've always
that'd be cute.
Well, he can't because only people that can do.
Why? Because he's a dwarf?
Yeah.
Really?
That's why.
Wow, you're dwarf shaming, Steve. 2019. Thought we moved on.
He's not Targaryen because only Targaryens can control dragons.
It'd be cool if you didn't know he was Targaryen or something like that. I'm writing the show right now.
You didn't know Jon Snow was. Well, you knew about it like in 4 or 5, but until he got on the dragons in this season, you didn't know that he could control dragons either. And he hopped on one.
I want to see him get on one at the end and be like, I'm not an elf.
I want to see him get on there and do space pants.
Nah.
There's a Saturday Night Live reference for everybody. Did you see? I'm done talking about
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, did you see that?
There's the Chris Farley song. He did that. He did that during a special. Did it back in SNL.
Well, he did it. Everybody was talking Netflix about special, it. But he did it last. I mean, the Netflix special was like touching. But there was something about having him do it in studio, what is it, 8C or whatever?
The thing I didn't like about the Netflix special was that it kept switching from like scene to scene, you know? Like,
no.
He was at like 4 different things when we recorded this, and earlier just went. I was like, oh, this is too much. Like my brain's hurting.
Yeah, but
no, cool to see him back on SNL.
You know, I thought the opening was hilarious where he was making fun of getting fired. Because how many people knew he got fired? Like,
right?
I didn't.
I thought he just kind of moved on with life,
but
making too much money.
My favorite was like when Pete Davidson. It's like everybody got funnier. Because I watch Saturday Night Live every once in a while, and it's just I don't laugh very often, and
it's hard to laugh now because he can't make as much racy jokes. I feel like
Pete Davidson, is that his name?
Yeah,
the 9/11 guy that I love his 9/11 jokes. Because
his dad died.
before you start tweeting me if you don't know.
His dad died in 9/11.
He was a firefighter.
So you can make jokes. It's cool.
Yeah. So like those jokes are absolutely hysterical. But I don't find it funny on that show. I don't find it funny in any other aspect. I've seen his comedy stuff. He is not funny to me at all. In the opening scene where he comes out and he starts singing "I'm fired," and Adam Sandler was like, "No, you're not fired yet." And he's like, "How is that possible?" He's like, "Don't worry, man, it's coming." Like, it's
don't worry, man, it's coming.
Like that's the humor that Saturday Night Live's missing as they go on that. Even like he did Opera Man, which I am not a fan of at all. But just the way he makes fun of it, I don't know. Maybe it's because it was just nostalgic or whatever. But I thought it was a fitting ending there with his tribute to Chris Farley. I know that's a good song, you know.
Yeah.
But in that setting,
Getting goosebumps now just thinking about it.
right? Like I ain't gonna cry. Like when he, the part where it was his dad's turn to cry. It was like, keep it together, don't ugly cry. On there, but he had the family reunion where I don't base my characters off you guys, and everybody was his characters.
I just feel like back then with SNL, like everybody, like when they were done with SNL, they moved on with like something like cool,
Well, not everybody,
from that, like,
but
most of them. And then if you didn't, you just became an extra in Adam Sandler's movies.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris Kattan wasn't.
You were part of Happy Gilmore Productions at some point in life.
I thought it was just funny. I was like, I went and grossed $4 billion in revenues, so I guess I won. But then I was reading this article where it's like, well, Saturday Night Live must know what they're doing because they're still around, and it's like, yeah, but it's easy to say. Because I remember when on that Chris Farley and those guys, I remember people saying it wasn't funny then.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people were like, I remember this specifically because I remember an interview with Chris Farley. And he was like, look, guys, I'm out there busting my butt every week to try to make you guys laugh. So, sometimes we hit, sometimes we don't. So I remember even back then people, and now you look back at those times and people my age that love that stuff are now saying it's not as good. So I think it's like a generational thing, like with what you grew up with.
Right.
But they were the era
like,
where...
I feel like if we went back and watched Saturday Night, like old SNLs now with our kids...
I don't find it.
You wouldn't find the old stuff funny
I
right
don't
now?
find the Steve Martin. I don't find any Gildner Radner.
Well, I was never a big fan of Steve Martin on that show.
But I mean, none of that. I mean, Chevy Chase, who was like Jim Belushi, had his moment. Like they had their moments, but I don't find it as funny.
Was Jim on there too? I know John was on there.
John Belushi, the one that died. But like I go back and watch those even when I was younger, and it's like, it's got my Coneheads. I never found that funny,
Right.
But I love those guys, and then now I'm back to I'll laugh every once in a while, but like.
Yeah, Jim was on there too.
Like, so I've been watching all these old Adam Sandler, like Lunch Lady, that song. It's just, it's just the silly humor, but they have fun with it. Now it's just like they don't have fun with their skits, I don't think, they're more like serious. They don't. Right. The best part about that
I feel like now, though, they know, well, back in the era, what came on TV just got talked about in the news, and you could either vote in a poll. Did you think this was funny? Yes or no? Or on the fence. Nowadays, it's Twitter. As soon as something gets said, that pops up on my news for you. SNL cast member says this word, OMG. Like,
I find Adam Sandler mildly annoying in life. Like, I don't
think all his movies are great.
I feel if me and him were best friends, like a lot of times I'd be like, dude, like, no, not like, I'd be like, we'd be in a restaurant. I'd be like, dude, no, knock it off. He'd be
like, you don't want to be in 50 First Dates? And you'd be like, okay.
But he had a funny thing on that, right? Where he was like, I think he was doing his Opera Man, where he was making fun of the guy from Pineapple Express, Seth Rogen.
Right.
He's like, oddly looking man with a good looking woman trying to win her. And he's like, I feel like I've seen this before. And it had like 4 of his movies up there, 50 First Dates and all these other ones and everything, So that's what was different about then is more comedians today don't laugh at themselves like they used to, I don't think.
I feel like more careers got launched in that one than they have in recent memory. Like from back in the day.
Yeah, but that was the era of Saturday Night Live where it wasn't. So it was character driven early on. Like their skits were character driven.
Was Seth Rogen on anything? Like he was an SNL guy.
He was Geeks and Freaks, which if you watch that one season of 8 episodes of that show, it was pretty good. But he
was that with like all of his boys, like Franco and all them?
Yeah, it was John Apatow who ended up directing
all the guys that were pretty much in the that one movie, End of the World.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it was the guy that Sarah Marshall guy that did How I Met Your Mother. It's funny how we don't remember any of their names. Yeah, all those. I mean, that show had so many guys that went on to be stars or whatever, and that was actually a great show. It just got horrible ratings on Fox, so they canceled it way too early. But no, it's it was just a different time because that wasn't character driven. That whole SNL period wasn't character driven. They had good characters. But it was personality driven. Those guys were all likable. That's the difference. Like you felt like you could hang out with Chris Farley, David Spade, and all those guys.
Sandler, Chris Rock.
Yeah. Like you just felt like oh, those are my buddies.
Yep, these are my buddies. We just smoke pot, hanging out on the couch, playing Nintendo.
It's just interesting how after 24 years they bring him back. I'm fascinated by those behind.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that like it took him that long to bring him back.
It was a big beef. He didn't. From what I was reading, he didn't want to go back. He didn't like it. All that stuff. Because you would think like a lot of those movies he had, whether they were big hits or not, you'd want him on there to promote those movies,
right?
And promote Saturday Night Live. I mean, I don't know how this is because I'm not into ratings or whatever. But I just feel like Saturday Night Live's still on the air because it's Saturday night at 11:30 or whatever.
Yeah, who's really watching SNL right now? That's what I want to know.
What else are you going to put on in its place? So that's kind of why I feel like it's still on. I feel like any other time frame, it would be off the air by now.
Oh yeah, if it was Saturday morning, Saturday morning live. Hey kids, wake up! This is taking the spot of Power Rangers.
But I mean, there was bad guys on the side, like Chris Kattan. I never liked. Will Ferrell had funny skits and everything.
Yeah,
but a lot of those female characters I didn't like there for a while, and it just got old and whatever. But no, it was good to see him back on there. It was the clips I saw and everything were pretty funny. Like it just went back to that old style make fun of yourself humor type of a deal that I feel like they're missing.
Well, Adam Sandler's show from the other night, first show in 25 years, delivered the highest rating. So, and they say it was a much needed ratings boost for SNL.
Yeah,
highest rating of the season. So,
well, their problem is
looking for a number here. Do not see a number.
The problem is they went super political, which they've always been political, but they were always attacked both sides, like made fun of both sides. Like Dana Carvey made fun of the first George Bush horribly,
Right.
But then also they skewered Al Gore like you wouldn't believe at the same time, So it was like both, and now it just feels like they're just, and a lot of people, it turns a lot of people off, whatever your politics are. You're shutting off half your audience by only making fun of half of them.
It averaged a 4.8 on Saturday night.
Saturday night. No, they've been struggling. That's what I mean by I feel like they would have been canceled I mean, when Lorne Michaels is done and quits it or dies, God forbid. I mean, Saturday Night Live's not going to be around anymore. It's going away. He's the only reason it's staying alive right now. He has enough power to keep it alive. But it's only around because it's on Saturday night.
It was only behind the Rockets Warriors game, which is on ESPN, ABC.
Was that game 2?
ABC, ESPN. I think
that was game 3. Yeah, that was game 3 because the Rockets played good in that one.
Speaking of ABC, ESPN, XFL. Were you shocked by the TV deal they got?
I'm only shocked because the AFL had to pay the NFL Network and ESPN and those guys to show their games. Like, they did not get a TV package. And the XFL was like, here we are. Here we got these 3 networks, and they're paying us to show the thing. So you hear all this stuff about how a second.
Well, I heard something like rights fees were waived, so they're not. Yeah. XFL isn't banking off of this.
No,
at all.
But they're not paying either.
Exactly. But nah, man, ABC and Fox taking over. I think that's huge. I mean, if you're on ESPN, you're kind of a big deal. I mean, ESPN's going to promote the heck out of you. If you're not on ESPN, they're not going to talk about you. Like, they didn't talk about, here's what AFL game is coming up next week.
Well, I mean,
but with this, they're going to be talking about it, especially if it looks like the championship game is going to be April 26th, which I believe is a day after a NFL draft.
I say right before or right after, right?
So, yeah, I mean, you get all that coverage going into into the championship game from the draft.
I definitely feel the AAF rushed to get out. Way too early, way too fast. I think the XFL is doing it right. The question's going to be is they're not going to get ratings like you're thinking they're going to get, because a lot of people don't want to watch bad football. It's going to be better than college football.
But they're also like changing up some rules. So I think the first week might be a little entertaining because you know what channel it's on. Like, I really didn't even know the AF started when it did. You just kind of heard about it because it was some pretty good football being played that first week.
But a lot of people don't have the NFL Network.
Yeah, or CBS Sports.
Which is where most of those games went.
You clamored to CBS Sports Network to watch Rondé and Tiki Barber.
Only reason I do is because I have the CBS app, which pops.
But where do you watch it on there?
But I mean, it pops up and says it's there. Is my point.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd have no idea where to look for it. But no, I think the XFL is taking its time. It's setting it up right. Vince McMahon learned last night not to have a partner that can pull the plug on it early because he would have kept it around. It was what, NBC that was part owner, and they were like, we're done with this.
And then they were also, there was a lot of bad blood going on with that because Vince was trying to pull out of his USA Network deal too, so they were getting.
So I mean, I think Vince learned that aspect of it. They're taking their time. They're announcing teams. You know,
and they're getting big names for these teams too, for like coaches. Like LA just announced their guy yesterday.
Yeah, but it was some guy you've never heard of unless you're in football circles,
right?
But then you read his resume and you're like, holy crap!
This guy was
somebody. There. Yeah. But I mean, they got Bob Stoops in Dallas.
Yeah,
is that right?
And everybody's a GM coach too. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I was wondering. I know they did that in LA, but
every head coach is a GM head coach.
You know what the most important thing that's going to set the XFL apart from the AAF?
What's that?
XFL has money. AAF never had it.
True.
They went. The AAF was the biggest scam on the planet because they sold all this goods and everything about how they're going to be partners with the NFL. NFL didn't agree, you know. And then they were like, "Oh, we have all this money." They had no money to start this thing. They were hoping that they kicked off and the ratings were so high.
They're like, "Check out everybody that came to our games."
That advertiser would be like, "Take all of our money."
And then they were trying to write it off. We sold out here. It's like, yeah, well, nobody was watching, and it doesn't matter how much you sell out. Like I keep telling people that, and they just don't understand it. Like you can go sell out every D-backs game right now until June.
They still lose money.
It doesn't matter because it's all about TV contracts.
Yeah. You know, and that. You know, and that you can live with the down TV contract, you know, as long as you have the money in reserves to make up for it or whatnot. And because I was reading stories like last week, I think it was, where the AAF, I mean, people in the AAF offices, like week 2, were told to no soda, like no free soda in the office. You know, that's the first sign you're in trouble is when they cut out free drinks in the office, you know.
They got to pay for their water. No free water at the water cooler. Put 25 cents in for each cup.
That's the first sign in any company that, you know, you're trying to find money somewhere, especially a new company. So, but I wouldn't say I'm excited about it. It'll be like the AEF where, you know, after that first weekend, we were excited about it. We wanted to go check out a game. It just didn't work out for us and everything. But then it literally just faded off the face of the planet.
Before we even got a chance. I saw a Hot Shots hat. I was at the mall last week or something. There was a Hot Shots hat at Just Sports. I was like, should I buy that? Like, it's on sale. I don't know. I didn't look and see how much it was on sale for, but it was on sale. But I'm more interested to see how ABC, ESPN, and Fox are going to talk about this on their coverages of NFL games, college football. I mean, because ABC, first game Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern on ABC.
I would
like, hey, the Saturday football doesn't stop here. We take 1 month off and we're right back. And I also want to see who the teams are going to be.
I would say that they'll avoid it on the NFL broadcasts, but college, it's a perfect transition. See your college stars that don't make it to the NFL, come see them again, you know, or whatever.
Right.
Like, that's a selling point on there. The difference be that nobody would watch college football except for what? You have loyalties to a school, right? Like, if you talk to people that aren't college football fans or college basketball fans, it's because they have no loyalty. They're not sports fans, or they just don't have any loyalty. They didn't go to college. Nobody in their family did. They didn't grow up in that atmosphere. Whereas you talk to people like me that, you know, are like, oh my God, I went there. Like, oh, go team, rah, 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 or whatever. And then how do you duplicate that to, you know, a semi-pro
cities,
league, you know, stuff like that. The other thing the XFL is doing right is they're going to cities that'll actually support the teams. Like, let's be honest, Phoenix did not deserve the hot shot.
Well, see, I'm more interested in that theory too, because I saw something the other day. Somebody posted like, "Oh, hey guys, the XFL just announced their TV thing." It was on the Rangers group that I'm in on Facebook, because the Rangers play. Right, you know, they're going to be playing right across the street from them now, because that's what the XFL Dallas team is playing in, which is right down the street from the Cowboys. But there it's like all, you know, Cowboys, and you have not just them, but also a team in Houston. I don't know how well that's going to sell. I mean, I know like Texas is all about football,
and they're the biggest, but
how big are they going to be about
you get a bunch
secondary
of,
football?
You get a bunch of, well, that's the thing. It's going to be like the Arena Football League, where it's going to be a niche for people, at least at the beginning.
Right.
So you're going to get those people that are diehard football fans. Then you'll get those people like, so you'll get guys from Oklahoma, Texas, Big Ten country.
Yeah, I mean, with Bob Stoops being your coach,
yeah.
I mean, you already have Oklahoma, like, that's their
So
fan
you'll get
base.
those players. You're going to be like, oh my God, so-and-so cornerback who I loved at Oklahoma is playing for this team. Let's go see him again or whatever. You'll get that stuff. The other side of it is it needs to be cheap enough, for teams to go.
Yeah, like what are the ticket prices going to be?
I don't know. But if it's $50, you will not see me at a game.
No.
Right? But if it's
$20,
if it's 15, 20, hey, I waste more than that.
$20 lower level. Hey, sign me up. All right.
I'll waste more than that on a Saturday night. I'll go
right.
throw that down to go watch a football game, type of deal. But no, that's the thing. But you need to have that money to build that base and everything. The XFL was pretty successful crowd wise and everything else when it came out before, and let's be honest, that was a joke.
Yeah. He hate me.
He was punking us at that point with that league,
And that stupid coin toss thing, which go chase the ball.
They didn't have a scrum.
It wasn't even like a scrum. It was like two guys go get the football. Like the first time he saw it, the guy like knocked it over. Then he tackled the guy, like pulled him, took his shoe off. Then he got it. And it was like, all right, that's kind of cool. But then it was like, the next one was dumber. So
I don't disagree either that the NFL needs I know they have college for the pros, but I mean, let's be honest, they need a league where the guys that don't make, so all the guys that either got undrafted or the guys that got drafted 6th, 7th round that are going to get cut in leagues, they need a place where they can play. Because now what do? They go to Canada. Sometimes
they go to scout team. They're just a body.
But even if they don't make the scout team,
right.
Let's say they get cut completely. They either go to Canada and try to make it, or they sit at home and they work out and they go work at wherever, Home Depot or whatever. They have a real job where they work out and they get ready to go try it again next year. This will give them an opportunity to get out there, hone their skills. Because not every team. Look how many of these. You're not going to know it because you don't follow it, but how many linemen, get drafted and you don't know, you never hear of them, they go from team to team to team, and then they show up, say New England, and all of a sudden they're like all pros,
right?
And it just took them 5, 6, 7 years to get there. Well, now you'll have a league where that's where the NFL, I'm not saying the NFL needs to work in conjunction with them, but like the AAF wants, but you have those guys that are actually playing football. They're actually out there working hard. They're learning their techniques. They're learning what it's like to be a professional. So that way they can come up and maybe, get out there. They might not start or whatever, but they could be a fill-in guy. And that's what the NFL needs. Every other sports league has that, by the way.
And I think I'm looking forward to most is seeing how, because they did say they are going to tweak some rules that, this isn't going to be a regular 3-hour Sunday afternoon game. Like they want to make it to where it's super quick. I mean, the time slots on here for in between games on that Saturday and Sunday has first game kicking off at 2, second game kicking off at 5. That gives you 3 hours, but I wonder how much, if they take down a lot of it, it's not something bad to go burn 2.5 hours out of the day on.
No, I mean, what's an NFL game? An NFL game is about 3.5 hours, right?
Yeah,
3.5 hours.
Yeah, depending on calls and everything. Like, I mean, I think shortest we spent at a stadium last year was probably like right at 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, with halftime in between the quarters, all the timeouts, all that stuff. And, this may be blasphemous, but I ain't going to lie to you. I get bored sometimes at NFL football games.
Yeah, you do. The third quarter, it's like, what the heck? Especially nothing goes on. It's like, terrible.
They just drag on, man. And it's like, all right, where's the excitement again, type of a thing.
I remember there's some games last year we were literally sitting there and it's like, it's the fourth? Wow. Now? What? I thought this game was over.
I know. Why am I still here? Kicked off at 1:15 and oh my God, it's 1:45 and
right?
I feel so much later.
What, we got a 1:30 kick today? Who are we playing that we deserve a 1:30 kick?
Know, right?
We're not playing anybody good. Come on.
So, I mean, if they can do anything to speed it up, that's what's funny is, I find baseball so boring, right? And, I go to a baseball game, like inning 3 through like 7, I'm staring at the ceiling, like, trying to figure out how they open the roof,
They got somebody over there cranking that thing?
How do they clean the dust from up there, Because I just get kind of bored in those situations.
That is a good question, though. How do
it's this, a 3-hour baseball game feels like it takes 7 hours, and a 3-hour football game feels like it maybe takes 3.5 hours to me. And there's less action in a football game than there is in a baseball game, and that's what's amazing about it.
Especially if you're a Cardinals fan. The action hasn't been
Last year,
yeah, action wasn't too stellar last year. We did get pretty amped up when they scored 2 touchdowns on the Bears in the first quarter. That was pretty exciting stuff.
Well, I think.
And then that fourth quarter comeback. Did they win that game? That fourth quarter comeback, or did they lose it? I don't remember.
The first touchdown was pure sarcasm by everybody, but remember that?
Well, we were just excited that they did something in the first, yeah. And then the second one, I was like, oh my gosh, this team's they're gonna beat the Bears.
It was that first touchdown was pure sarcasm on everybody's part. We're all like moonwalking in the stands.
Fun times.
So, but yeah, we got another year. Wait, it starts this year, right? After this season?
Yeah, after the season. So the week after the Super Bowl looks like, because the Super Bowl's usually that first weekend in February. So I guess February 2nd it will be the Super Bowl. So February 8th and 9th, the first week of the XFL.
I mean, they're following the same.
And they also have end of the season too, week 9 and 10. They have a 10-week schedule. Week 9 and 10 they actually have some Thursday night Fox games. So we'll see.
On Saturday night or Sunday night?
On Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yeah, 2 Thursday night Fox games in April.
I'm not fond
And then
of that.
later on in the year, it looks like they also have like a Sunday night game. FS1 picks up one. So yeah, they got a couple of later starts there.
I don't know if I'm fond of a Thursday night for a startup league. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't care how good it is. I'm not gonna.
That's why I think you just got to keep pumping it. And I think for one. Around that time, let's see here, NASCAR is going to pump it out because they'll be on Fox around that time. You also have, I'm interested to see how the college and pros, like if, Joe Buck's going to mention it, coming into a Sunday game. Hey, don't forget XFL, yada yada yada, whatever.
I think you avoided it. I think you avoid the NFL just because, not that it's your competition,
right?
But you're a step down from them. But then again, you want to harbor those fans.
But they do pimp up the college football playoffs too on their deal. So I think it's just Fox doing Fox,
Yeah.
And then you also have the WWE starting on Fox later this year, so that could be kind of a tie-in too. Like, hey, don't forget, XFL. I know you want to make it 2 separate entities. I'm pretty sure Vince wants to make it 2 separate things. But
Yeah.
you were watching the NASCAR race the other day. Mike Joy comes back. Hey, don't forget SmackDown's on.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is
this October.
That's a good angle because WWE fans aren't just WWE fans; they're Vince McMahon fans.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. So that's actually a good point there is, when you talk to WWE fans, they're not, they like the entity of it. Wrestlers come and go, but the one person they swear by is Vince McMahon.
I know. Every time he walks out, they boo him, but yet when they boo him, they still do the the praise Jesus.
Well, that's because the character that he developed on.
But you still worship him, the ground he walks on when he comes out of the
he's
ramp.
hated because of the character that
exactly
he's or whatnot on there. But it's the interesting thing is going to be is that's right, the heart of basketball play, NFL or NBA basketball playoffs are starting,
and they'll be on ESPN, so you get that coverage, man. I think it's a good move having those networks on. I want to see how all that plays out before, like, more so than the game, how the game plays out. I want to see how all that plays out with how much promotion they get on the other stuff. And also, I'm also waiting for the jerseys. Are we gonna get like some stupid ass team names? Because right now they're just like XFL Dallas, XFL Los Angeles.
But those jerseys were pretty bad first time it rolled around too.
Yeah.
But I think that was more for shot.
But the AAF jerseys are pretty terrible too.
I know. I think he's doing this more serious now.
Right.
So
I'm interested in team names. Give me something cool for the Dallas team.
But wouldn't that be great? Name another sport, like, I guess, if you're into hockey, you would know, like, some of the minor league players.
Right.
So I know some of the minor league guys for the Coyotes and some of them for the, like, Knights and the teams I follow, just because you read about them or whatever.
Right.
But how great would that be is if you're watching, whether it's a quarterback, a receiver, running back, even like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, you're watching this guy in the XFL, and then he goes right into training camp and you find out he makes the team. You're going to follow that.
When Rod Smart did it, when he came up for Carolina, he hated me.
Yeah.
We didn't know his name was Rod Smart. We're like, oh, okay.
we learned it when we went to Carolina.
But formerly, he hated me of the XFL.
But yeah, everybody followed him, right? They wanted to see what he would do, how good he was, and stuff like that. So, that's just going to help the entity of your sport if you can follow a guy that, his whatever. Do instead of what's that stupid show they do that everybody hypes up for now on HBO? for the NFL teams. Instead of doing that, follow the guys.
Man, now you got me, hit me on the spot. I know what you're talking about.
I know. Well, there you go.
Beyond the Grid, Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks, there you go.
Beyond the Gridiron.
You could follow, when that would be a storyline there, you could follow a guy, you know, has worked his butt off and now he's going to the camp for the first time. You could follow that story through and it's just going to, you know, the more personal, NFL follows the name on the front of the jersey, right?
Right.
And if you could keep that with a little bit more personal interaction, I think it's just going to help your sport at all. Because right now we're dealing with things like Dez Bryant doing a stupid workout showing his Achilles is back. And everybody's like, oh, a team should sign Dez Bryant. None of them. No team should sign Dez Bryant. Nobody should. But yet we have to talk about it.
And he was wearing like cowboy shorts or something like that. So people are making a big deal about it.
I would rather follow an XFL team or something like that than, you know, some washed up receiver that nobody wants and people try to push him to get signed with the team and watching his workout video. It was great when he slipped though and almost tore his Achilles again.
Poor Dez. Speaking of slipping, I don't know how big of a horse race guy you are.
You know,
probably not the same.
Well, you don't know don't know this about me, but I am actually a big horse racing guy. But I don't follow it like a diehard person.
Right. I mean, who does?
I pay attention to it more than just the 3 big races.
Right. So,
like, I follow Santa Monica.
What'd you think about my boy, my boy Max Security?
Is this where I start yelling? Right
Slipping,
now?
Man, getting
the sport.
Just got a little loose. Come out of 4. That's all I saw.
The sport of horse racing is dying. Especially this year.
Ratings are high though. Best ratings they've had in like some years.
Come talk to me after the Preakness when country whatever isn't running.
Yeah,
some security.
Cough Drop isn't even running it. Was it Country House?
Country House.
Cough Drop.
So
yeah, he's not running it because of Cough. We're going to change his name to Cough Drop.
Yeah, I get. No, he's not going to run it because.
Well, he knows he's going to get his ass kicked because it's going to be a dry track.
He should have finished in 20th place, and he got lucky. So my issue with this is main guy got disqualified. I'm actually not upset he got disqualified, except for the fact that he was the fastest horse on the track. He was
the favorite. He was the fastest. If it was dry or wet, he was going to win.
But let's say he ran into the other horses and it was an illegal move. He got tripped up too. His momentum was stopped too.
Right.
And he still dominated that race.
He still ran away from those guys.
The thing I have a problem with is that the horse on the outside that wasn't affected is the one that protested, and then he wins it in second place. And that horse did not deserve to win that.
And that's why he called it. Like it didn't affect him at all, but it benefited him the most. And he called it, which I don't like at all. Like I think if you're the horse that gets impeded, you have a gripe. And he was like, you know, track? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna give you an analogy here, and that would be like James Harden not getting the calls in the first NBA in the first playoff game against the Warriors, and then going to the bench and complaining about not getting the calls after getting his butt kicked. There's no chance he was gonna win. He got his butt kicked the whole time. Second play, and that would be like the NBA going, you know what? Let's give the Rockets the win here. That's pretty much what happened.
Kind of feel like it would be if James Harden left the Golden State, you know, on the podium and was talking about the calls in the Hawks game or something like that. Yeah.
But that's my issue with it is the person that sent the protest wasn't affected, and then they protested, and then they get the win. Like that's
I know, right? It's like, bro, enjoy your top 5 run. That was good.
My other problem with it is that the stewards were like, excuse my language, everybody, but the stewards are like, fuck you. It's our decision. Go F off. We don't have to explain it to you. No. You make a controversial call like that, you sit your ass in front of everybody and you start talking.
The fastest 2 minutes in sports turned out to be the longest 23 minutes in sports.
At 10 minutes, I went, this isn't good.
No,
and at 15 minutes, I went, they're going to reverse it.
I left.
And then the 20th minute, I was like, this is over.
We had to go. I mean, we had to get to the racetrack. So I'm like, babe, we got to get going. She's like, but they haven't called us. Like, well, I'm sure our phones are going to blow up on this one. And sure enough, like, I literally get on the highway. Ding! Maximum security DQ. And I was like, no. That was going to be my first one of the day, actually. I actually had money down on him.
Yeah, I know. You're all excited.
I was all excited for my $11. I actually bought 2 tickets. I was getting $22 off of that, man.
I was reading somebody in Las Vegas put $2 on every horse in the field. And so in theory, they should lose money on it. And they ended up winning like $100 because
the 65 to 1 odds. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I picked up, I went 21 whoever that horse was, I think Improbable, it was 99 to 1. And I was like, I'll go. And he actually started off out the gate. He got down on the track, like down the rail, like super quick. I was like, oh, heck yeah.
The horse that was affected the most on it was who I thought was going to win. If Max Security didn't.
Right.
Like I almost texted you and was like, put money on Improbable for me. Because I was like, a wet track, is a chance on there. Because they both had similar odds going into it.
I would have kind of changed up some bets because the track was literally dry when we left Turf Paradise, because we watched it from home after we were at Turf Paradise for first 6 races out there, just betting on those ponies. And then I left and you're like, oh, it's a wet track. I was like, wet track? What? It's like, it looked like the sun was out.
No, it started downpouring an hour before. I know, that's why I was like, favorite's gonna win, that hot. But there were 2 guys with even odds at that moment, so I was like, who do you go with? But my biggest issue with it is you have to, for the sanctity of the sport, you have to come out and explain your decision. You cannot hide behind it. Even if it's one pool reporter, you need to come out and explain it. The fact that they hid is just egregious in this day and age. They spent 20 minutes studying instant replay. They took 20 minutes interviewing jockeys and everything, and then they make their decision. Fine, we'll live with it. Just come out and tell us why.
Like, here's why, guys.
And they went, nope. Big middle finger to everybody. See you later.
Instead, on Monday, I'm watching it was funny. I'm watching what's that, Wiley and whoever show he has?
Oh, Marcel Wiley?
Yeah, Whitlock and Wiley.
Yeah.
So Whitlock and Wiley and the other guy, the other black guy.
Yeah, I don't know
his name either.
He used to be Colin, and then he quit.
Yeah, he was like a basketball player or something like that for years, or football player for 12 years or something like that. But they're all like, I agree with the call. And then like the white guy on it who knows about horse racing, like, no, I don't think it's a good call. And like, how could you? The guy's like, look, guys, here's why I don't think it's a good call. And they're like, no, it's a great call. And they're all like, now everybody's an expert on Monday. It's like, what's funny. Guys, look, we're not horse experts. I'm not going to come out here and tell you I'm a horse expert. I love how I hang out with a bunch of race car people. I follow a bunch of race car people on Twitter, and everybody was just like, Robin's racing. Like horse got a little loose.
I agree with you on that. Like, I didn't think it was egregious when I saw it. I mean, we were about probably a quarter of a step from having 3 horses with broken legs and having to be euthanized on the track, and very hurt jockeys. Like, we were that close to that. I didn't think it was egregious, especially on a wet track. If it was a dry track,
right?
But here's why it wasn't the right call, and I'll tell you why. 145 years of this stuff going on.
This is the first time you want to do it?
First time it's ever been done. That is why it's the wrong call, is because you can't tell me in 145 other years of just the Kentucky Derby that nothing like that has ever happened before.
Yeah.
Like, that is why it's the wrong call. That is why it's agreed. Unless a rule has changed, which it hasn't. That is why. Not only that, I was reading stories of like other tracks, like Santa Monica, who had a lot of deaths this year. Like, that was a whole nother story. And even people at those tracks that were like marshals of those tracks were like, we would never make that, because Country Horse's owner was sitting there, trainer, and before they called it, and he was like, any other track, this would be called right on the spot, but because the Kentucky Derby, they probably won't do it, whatever.
But even he was like, I don't know if I can make this call.
I know, but afterwards,
like, he's like, I don't know if I can make it.
They went to like 20 other big name tracks in the country, and they were like, no way in hell we would have made that call. And and it's like, that is why it's the wrong call.
Well,
that's why.
The one good thing about it did make my $2 ticket kind of valuable, right? Because 7 to win, right?
People will forget about this
until next year when it comes up.
I think
they're going to talk about pre-race, right?
Horse racing is a dying sport for many reasons.
All the protesters, gosh, those guys. Whew.
Well, I mean, horses are, treated well, or, as good as they can be or whatever. You're always going to have those protesters. But yeah, we do have a group of people coming up in this world that
they're
focused on that stuff a little bit more. You can say it that way if you want.
They're snowflakes. They're soft.
So they're not going to follow it. You have a group of people coming up in this world. But let's face it, horse racing is a very expensive sport. Like, you don't get into that if you're, making it paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So it's an elitist sport. You have to be bred into that. You kind of have to be into that type of a deal. And it's always going to struggle on that front, but it's what happened to boxing, man. All these controversial finishes on boxing, I would go so far as to say that I can actually I actually read a case of somebody saying that the Kentucky Derby was rigged because they didn't want to pay out all the maximum security money because it was so heavy on maximum security that's why they reversed it. Was for a gambling reason.
You never want to hear You never want to hear the R word. Never want to hear the R word.
Not good at any point in time. And we're in an era now where all these people are opening up off-track betting. All these states are opening up, sports gambling.
Tennessee, the latest.
This is not something that you want happening.
Come on, Arizona.
Day and age. So
come on, Arizona. Give me some betting.
It's not going to happen in Arizona.
Come on, guys. I can still hold out hope. But Vegas is 4 hours away. So
that's why California, Arizona, Utah, Vegas is going to pump a lot of money to fight that.
That is indeed. So I got some weird.
So basically, Kentucky Derby, you screwed up, and I hate you for it. I wouldn't watch the Preakness anyway.
I never watched the Preakness. I always watch the Belmont if there's a Triple Crown runner.
But yeah, exactly. But that's the problem with the Preakness. It's run 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby. You never know it's on. It's not advertised.
I did watch the one, and when Big Brown was at 2008. When Big Brown went for it,
I don't know.
I was somewhere. I was like, "Oh, hey, the Preakness is on. Got to see Big Brown can do it." And then he went on to win the Triple Crown because I was like the first guy. They're like, "Oh, this guy, this
did Big Brown do it?" Because I know Justify did.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't remember. It was.
He was like the first one in like X amount of years to do it. But anyways, I just got added to a Facebook Messenger group. That's fun. Got some baseball nuggets for you today, man. Some interesting stuff happening in baseball. What?
I said depends what group.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw you've been added, or someone create a group. So I'm assuming I'm in it. I don't know. So the Allegheny River, you know where that's at?
Georgia?
No, it is in Pittsburgh. Steve sits offset right there underneath the Robert Clemente Bridge. PNC Park.
You're acting like you know, but okay.
Yeah,
I just read it.
I just found out what the name of the river was. I was like, oh, the river. What is that river's name?
He just read it.
I knew the bridge. But no. So today, Pirates first baseman Josh Bell blasted a 472-foot home run into the Allegheny River in the fourth inning against the Texas Rangers, becoming the fourth player to knock one just clear in there in the sky. Later on in the game, here's where it gets a little weird, a little blurry, but Joey Gallo blasted one in there as well. It bounced. But that was his 100th career home run. And weird stat, he is the quickest American League player to get home run number 100 in 377 games, besting Mark McGwire at 393. But he only has 93 singles in his career.
Well, I mean, he's the product of that. You pay me to hit home runs, so all or nothing. So
But he's the first one to do that and have less singles than home runs. And also, a quote from him. He said, they were asking for his batting gloves, his bat, and all that stuff. And he was like, I just want the ball. And they said, well, it's in the river, so we can't go get it because it rolled into the river. They're like, sorry, bro.
Don't they float?
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess they weren't going to take a boat out there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know that much about. I know there's a big river there, but I'm assuming it's just gonna float and eventually go to the shoreline, right?
I guess I don't know.
It's not like a huge current where it's a mile down the river already, is there? I don't know.
No, I mean it's just a regular river from what I can gather. But
you think he goes out there like after the game and like walks the shoreline?
Right? He's like, "Come on, ball, where you at?" Is this Josh Bell's home run ball? Is this mine? I don't know. I'm claiming it as mine.
I actually saw that hit earlier today, and that was a bomb, dude.
Josh Bell's? Yeah, that one was a bomb. Gallows was bomb, too. I mean, they projected 442.
I didn't see Gallows, but I saw the first one. It was like, wow.
Gallows went out of the stadium from right center field, where Bell just went right over the right field bleachers. Yeah. Like his went over right center. So it got kind of marked by trees.
Was the wind out today?
It looked like it was.
Because
right?
I mean, I'm going to assume so because most people don't even come close to coming out there. Only 4 people. That park's been open for what, 10, 15 years now?
I think it's 2004 they opened it, something like that.
So 14 years, 15 years. But I mean, and 4 people have done it, so it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's not like the park out in San Francisco where it just happens all the time, right?
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore, but it happened all the time with Barry Bonds.
They got to rename that Barry Bonds corner, not McCovey Cove.
Yeah, McCovey Cove, Bonds Cove.
Because he's the only one that was launched. Other people have done it, but he's the one that's launched it the most.
So, hockey playoffs are winding down real quick.
I know.
I tried to listen. I had to listen to the first period and some change in the car. I had no idea who had the puck.
Today?
Yesterday, I was listening to the Stars and
the
Blues
Stars
games.
game? Yeah,
I literally, that's like, there was a time back in the day where I could tell you who was on like the lines of all these teams. You
Even
know,
like the third, like
yeah, like
first,
like I knew my team, like I knew the Stars. You know, like boom,
first and second line is easy because
top three lines, like I knew them, and then the other teams you can know, like they're big guys and like a couple other
you
guys.
know at least one or two player on their first couple lines.
So I'm listening to it in the car, right, and I'm just like. And they're like, "Oh, he scores!" Like, all right. I was like, "Oh, that was a Blues guy. All right, never mind. Wasn't my guy. I had no idea who anybody was."
I mean, that's hockey's problem is if you're not into it and you don't know, but yeah, I mean, you get into like the third and fourth lines and the power play units, you're like, who?
Right.
Who?
But that's how I felt listening to it on the radio. I was so lost, but I was still listening to it anyway. It's like,
calling of the games. You got to give them that.
I mean, even just like the play-by-play on TV. You know how like most announcers, like even watch a football game, a baseball game,
or whatever.
It plays out. They let the game play out before they say what happened. But in hockey, I mean, you can literally take those guys off the TV and just pump them in your radio.
Yeah.
You're going to know what's happening.
But that's and that's the thing. Like you got the story of what was happening. You just didn't know what team was.
Yeah,
what.
I didn't know who was doing it.
You could imagine.
I didn't know on what end. Yeah, anything was going on. I knew on some end it was happening. But nope. Stars fall to the Blues, who are now the favorites to win it all.
Yeah, are they now the favorites again?
Well, I guess they were the favorites going into round 2.
They were, yeah.
And the Stars took them to 7 games, and they're waiting to see who gets it done. The Avalanche and Sharks later on.
I would say 6 p.m. our 9, 8, 7, 6 p.m. our time. Phoenix time, it looks like. So game 7 tonight. So, I mean, both series going game 7. We'll see if the Sharks go to double overtime again tonight.
Right.
See if they get a benefit.
Who's going to be less tired here on this game, right?
But I mean, even then, Carolina, Boston, or what, first game is tomorrow, I think. Yeah, tomorrow for the Eastern Conference Finals. That's going to be an interesting series there because, Boston's up and down. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd like to see a Boston-St. Louis final, but a Boston-San Jose final might be fun to watch.
I'm excited. I want to see Carolina get in there. I want to see those bunch of jerks just do it, man. Because that got brought up again this past week.
Because Don Cherry got all butthurt because they had signs like, I love these bunch of jerks. And he got all upset about, why are they hanging on to this? And I didn't mean anything by
it. And they made their rally towels.
Yeah.
Spell out jerks on the in the actual stadium on the seating bowl.
Yeah,
it spells
Don
out
Cherry
jerks.
got all butthurt about it and started like, I don't know why we're doing this,
And the rally towels even have like a bunch of jerks on it. They made T-shirts. Like that's the best thing. The Hurricanes Don Cherry rivalry is probably the best rivalry in the playoffs right now, I think, and I love it.
I don't know if I can root for Carolina with that owner though. That affects me a little bit.
I know he did you dirty with the AAF.
I could seriously care.
I know you're getting ready to go check out your season tickets for that for next year, but
no, I mean I've always rooted for the Bruins. I got a Bruins jersey downstairs and everything. I'd like to see them come back and be back to prominence again. It's always a good time. But yeah, the West is just so wide open this year, and I've just never been a Blues fan at all. I don't know. It's always rubbed me the wrong way.
So, in case you didn't hear Don Cherry, which you probably didn't unless you're like follow anybody on hockey Twitter, which I don't know if the listeners are doing.
Nobody's the hockey nerd like me.
Right.
I saw it the second it happened because like 18 people I follow
So Don Cherry in the video said that their fans are just a bunch of front runners, and they only care about the Hurricanes because they're winning and they're in the playoffs and all this stuff. So the Hurricanes actually said, when life gives you sour grapes, you make another shirt. They made another shirt that says bunch of jerks, but they added the little arrow thing that says front running jerks.
Yeah.
So
Don Cherry's getting like upset about this. Like, Mr. Canadian hockey is getting schooled by a bunch of American, non-hockey fans, and it annoys him. He's like, respect me. I'm Don Cherry.
I wear flashy suits to get noticed. Right?
Well, that's what's funny, right? It's like so other broadcasters like look at Don Cherry, right? And they're like, well, look at this clown, right? Like, be professional, man. Like, what's wrong with you? Well, now he's an idiot. There are people like, we're not hiring you because you're garbage. Look at these suits or whatever. He's basically what the Carolina Hurricanes are now in terms of hockey. They're stepping outside the box. They're having fun. They're doing things a different way. And the guy that does things his own way and different from everybody else is upset about the team that does things their own way and does it different.
Right.
It's hilarious to watch, right?
So hopefully they win the cup, because then they'll do some sort of crazy celebration post game, right? They haven't done the post game celebrations in the playoffs, which would make sense, because if you do it with the team you're playing, for 6 more games, there's gonna be some fights happening.
That's the thing that you love about hockey is there is a protocol. Everybody follows it. Like, you beat the crap out of each other for whatever, 5, 6, sometimes 4, but 5, 6, 7 games. Bad blood everywhere. Like, I remember, the Kings and the Coyotes, when the Coyotes were in the playoffs back in, what was that, early 2000s? And every year it was like this blood fest, like illegal hits, people getting suspended, injuries, everything. And man, that series is over. No matter how bad you want to punch that guy in the face,
you go and you
murder
shake their
his
hand.
children, you go through and you shake their hand.
And that's the cool thing about hockey too. That I think a lot of fans would agree with, not just hockey fans in drill, but the handshake is like super cool night. I was there for a handshake night, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
and
you could literally see like Coyotes players, because they lost that series. You could literally see Coyotes players like just gritting their teeth and everything as they go through the line.
Good luck, guys. Good luck. Bring it home.
And then you go to the locker room and get all pissed off or whatever like that. So, that's the greatest thing about hockey, and I hope that never changes, because you don't see it anywhere else.
No,
you don't see a Super Bowl. So your team wins the Super Bowl.
The coaches shake hands.
They'll meet in the corner,
and then you have a few players that do. Then there's
and then
a couple other players that just run off the field. Yeah.
No.
But in hockey, no.
In hockey, a lot of the players will stay out for the trophy presentation to the other team, and they'll watch it on the bench. And if they do go back, but they at least shake the hands and they talk to the players or whatever, and then they'll go back or whatever.
And if you lose at home too, you do that one final skate, like we saw the Knights last year. They watched the trophy ceremony, and then they did their little final skate off and stuff like that. And a lot of some teams, they do that too. I was actually watching a funny hockey video today about fights. Just the camaraderie that goes into like them getting ready to like fight each other. Like one guy walks up to another guy, he's like, "Hey man, you want to go?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you trying to fight tonight?" He's like, "All right, yeah, let's go." And like I remember a Coyotes player like walked up, he like was skating pre-ice. He was like, "Hey, is so and so a fighter?" He's like, "Yeah, man, he's gone a few times." Like, "Yeah, he just asked me want to fight." He's like, "You gonna do it?" He's like, "I guess so." And then there's one guy, he like had him up and he like had his gloves off, and the guy's like, "What do you want to do?" He's like, "Take your gloves off, let's go." He's like, "No, man, I don't want to fight you."
It's changed the last few years, because now they have the instigator penalty.
Right.
So if you start it, so you basically have to do it at the same time. But a lot of those enforcers, like Biz Nasty in Arizona, who, a lot of their careers ended because you had to get permission to fight from your coach, and the timing had to be right and stuff. And fighting's part of hockey, and there's actually a good reason for it, for a lot of things. But I understand the optics of it here in 2000s, where it's not the best thing to do if you want casual fans to tune in, but there's a purpose for it or whatever, and they kind of curtailed it, which I'm fine with. But man, they go. But that's the thing, is you never see that stuff in the playoffs because it's too costly. If you get as the Knights found out, you get a 5-minute major, man, and your series is over pretty quickly.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk to you anymore this week. So we are the Main Event Podcast, y'all. Make sure you like us on Facebook. We are on Facebook at the Main Event Podcast. We're also on Twitter at the Main Event Pod. Check us out online at themaineventpodcast.com. Also, subscribe to YouTube. Gestalt Productions. Got some pages there. If you're a race guy, you like some race videos, all sorts of other fun stuff, you can hit up Steve at SMAC500 on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram.
You said that's so weird. But...
And then you can hit me up too at JasonCarter03 on all 3 platforms across the interwebs and social media webs as well.
The interwebs.
That's what that. That's what that one dude. What's his name? He says it in that show, Gas Monkey Garage.
Really quick? My last thing is, what do you think of the name Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor?
It's a mouthful, but that's the royal baby's name, right?
Yeah,
that's a mouthful.
Forget about Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, because Windsor is obviously where he's from or whatever. That's how they designate it. But Archie?
Archie Bradley. Maybe D-backs fans or something like that. Who knows?
Redheads.
He was conceived the night he hit that triple.
If Archie Bradley's still on the Diamondbacks coming up, holy cow.
Holy cow. We won't get into that, but real quick, some top headlines. Cubs recall Addison Russell after the suspension for his domestic violence. You cool with that?
Yeah, wasn't it like 90 games or something?
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, you do your time and you come back and you're, whatever. I'm fine with it. As long as you do your time, I'm okay with it.
I'm cool with that as well. Ooh, touching thing here. Ezekiel Elliott's going to pay for an 8th grade football player's funeral. That's pretty touching.
Yeah, they got, I guess, gunned down is the word, killed innocently in a thing, and Zeke's paying the bill. So that's awesome. Good for Zeke.
Big move, Zeke. Lakers and Lou in talks without a deal. Sources say he's going to be the next head coach, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's LeBron's puppet. Nobody else likes him, but LeBron wants him there, so it's going to happen. No ifs, ands, or buts. And the other reason you know it's going to be there is because the Suns signed that other guy,
Monty
Williams. So, I guess there's when more info comes out, but that's the other thing is there's some speculation. The NBA offices are telling the Suns that they're going to start. The person that they signed to hire as an assistant GM under James Jones could be a GM with any other team in the league, and he's the assistant below. So there's speculation. The NBA is like, we're sending you this guy, and you're gonna hire him, and you're gonna let him make some decisions and
could
stuff.
Be the next 76ers happening right under here below us. And LeBron James, I'm sorry, Magic didn't tell you that you can kiss his ass, but hey, you can kiss our ass. All right, King James, you can kiss our ass. There you go. How's it make you feel?
Yeah, since you brought that up. How full of yourself are you when you get mad because Magic Johnson didn't check with you that he doesn't want to work with you anymore?
Right? There's a front office player.
But
LeBron
not just that. But not just that. He's Magic fucking Johnson.
Right. You don't have to tell you to kiss his ass.
Magic Johnson is what you want to be, LeBron. Like, it's just pure jealousy and, whatever at this point. And,
hatred.
It's just I didn't have a good opinion of LeBron anyway, but it's just selling my opinion. Granted, I grew up a huge Lakers fan and a Magic Johnson fan, but yeah, who do you think you are that you're pissed off that Magic didn't check with me? Hey, Magic doesn't have to check with anybody.
He's Magic effing Johnson, and you're LeBron effing James. Let's go do another barbershop show and talk about it. All right?
Did you see?
Yeah, I saw the clip. Yeah, that's where it happened. That's where I saw it.
I know, but did you see the rest of it with like Seth Rogen of all people?
They get the whitest white guys on that black barbershop show, right?
Oh my! I don't watch it. I just see clips of it, but it's just I don't get it.
They need to get a NASCAR driver in there.
No, NASCAR's racist. Remember, Jason?
Yeah, it's really racist.
Because they went to see Donald Trump or whatever.
Crazy Joey Logano. Hey, but Tiger Woods also got the Medal of Honor this past week, so congratulations to Tiger Woods.
Yeah, and he's off the favorite list on a lot of people's thing because how dare him go get a huge highest civilian honor medal from the president for coming back from. All right, really quick. Do you think Tiger Woods' back injury, as bad as it was and everything, do you think it's being overhyped on how bad it was?
I don't know if it's being overhyped because we did see him go out and try to play and have to withdraw from some things. I think his back was pretty hurt. I mean, I haven't gone through that. I mean, there's yesterday actually at work, I was like, man, my back's killing me. But I could have probably went out and swung a golf club.
No, I'm not saying in any way am I saying that his back, that his career, he probably couldn't swing a club anymore or whatever. I'm not saying that at all. But when they talk about, I'm almost to the point where I'm questioning if it's like Curt Schilling's bloody sock. Which, if you listen to anybody, Joe Buck and them, his ankle was half attached and, he was lucky to be standing.
Right.
Which wasn't the case at all. And I just wonder if, the president gave the story, but then even when he won the Masters, it was like, he was ready to off himself. It was so painful. And, he had to fight all he could to, I have no doubt that he couldn't get out of bed and he couldn't walk. I'm sure it was a debilitating deal, but, it's like, I don't know. It just seems like they're pushing it too much.
I think it's time to look forward to something else because he has won the Masters. He's back. Tiger is back.
He's
and
no
we'll look forward to see what he does. Yeah.
Now when he sucks for the next, 4 years.
It'll just be old age hitting him.
He didn't win that Masters. The field came back to him.
He won the Masters. He's wearing the green jacket, all right? He won it.
No. He's wearing the green jacket.
I mean, he was right there in the mix.
He didn't
was in the
win.
mix.
He didn't win that Masters. The field came back to him.
Whole what, 12 it was or something like that?
The field came back to him. No, he still won it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad or he didn't do it. I'm not
downplaying the
but I may be downplaying it a little bit. No, he won it, which is congratulations to him. But I guarantee you, those 7 world players ahead of him aren't going to come back to him next time either. Yeah, they ain't coming back to him again.
We shall see.
It's a one-time deal.
That's why we play sports, Steve. Thank you for listening. God bless you. God bless the troops, and God bless America.